The PDP, of course, had, alleged that there were widespread irregularities over time. They were, they talked about overvoting, non-compliance with the Electoral Act, and manipulation of results in hundreds of polling units. But the Supreme Court said not enough evidence. The court noted that the PDP failed to call relevant witnesses or properly link their evidence, especially the BVS machines, to the alleged infractions. Out of the 4,519 polling units they challenged, just 395, and even there, the evidence was described as dumped without proper context. Joining us for today's discussion is a member of the People's Democratic Party, Andrew Enantomehn. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Do you lay the blame here? It would seem that the Supreme Court believes that the PDP did not put together a tight case. Where do you think that this gap came from? Would you say it's a case of nonchalance or, a lackadaisical attitude, or not maybe doing the due diligence on the part of the PDP to further strengthen its case? Or do you maybe believe this to be a miscarriage of justice?
Well, I would say I would blame the Supreme Court. Yesterday, I put out a press statement as regards my position in the judgment. We've accepted our fate and we've moved on. But it's quite unfortunate that if you understood what transpired during the last Edo State election, you will know that it was a sad development for our hard-earned democracy. I was on this channel on Terra4 during that last election, and you know how we suffered in that election. For months we're in that election, canvassing around the 192 ward, there's 18 local governments and thousands of polling units. This is one of the most highly, one of the most highly engaging election we've ever involved in Edo State. But it's quite unfortunate that people's mandate were stolen, the people's will were stolen. If you go to Edo State right now, people are moody. Those ones you see on those things you saw on the internet, on the television yesterday, just a few of few people that are just jubilating. But the real voters on the street of Edo State, they are not happy because their mandate was clearly stolen. But it's quite unfortunate where we are. We can't blame the Supreme Court. It's the last hope of the common man. They've made their verdict known. They've pronounced their judgments. There's really nothing we can do about it. We have to accept our fate. I've got my followers, got my members. I think I have one of the biggest political movements in Edo State, and I've spoken with most of our key leaders across the 18 local government. And look, let's just keep our faith alive. We still have other victory to conquer. It's just one of those things. But one thing that stood us out is that we've raised our heads so high. We came, we saw, and we believe that we conquered. It's unfortunate that the system we find ourselves, Nigeria system, happened to us, and that's the way it is. If the reverse was still the case, I will still be happy because I know that this is what we worked for. All through the case from the tribunal down to the from the appeal down to the tribunal down to the appeal down to the Supreme. When the court, we saw everything that happened. The court is the last hope. We went there. We did our best. We could have given up because we knew that this mandate was given to us by the people. So we needed to fulfill all our righteousness to ensure that at least we pursue the mandate to the apex course. Even while most of our followers were telling us and telling our principal that, look, Your Excellency, we felt you should not waste money for this case because we understand the Nigeria situation we are. But the governor told them that, look, the people gave me their mandates. I need to follow it up. I know what it takes. I know how much we spent in this election because we believe in the people, because we want to transform Edo State. Edo State is the heartbeat of Nigeria, but look at where we are today. We're not even beating, the heart is not even beating anymore. The people are sad, security is top-notch, hunger in the land. There's nothing going on in the state, a state that we took time to build. I remember I was in Obasanjo's cabinet, and I knew the kind of intellectual strength we put in that government and made Edo State one of the best administrations during Obasanjo's time. But look at what happened in the last few months that the mandate was stolen from us. We've gone back to an archaic kind of governance, where we're using 18th century weapon to fight 21st century war. So it's a sad development for us in the PDP, but there's nothing we can do because the court have made their pronouncement and we have to live by it in the next 4 years and prepare for that subsequent by-election. Well, this entire election by the corner and the House of Rep election by the corner. It's just unfortunate that the will of the people doesn't count again. And the sad thing is that it's making people lose faith in the system. That's the sad thing. PDP did their diligence. We brought the best candidate. This is the best candidate that ever happened in the history of Nigeria politics. Asue Ighodalo is a refined gentleman that came into the political space that being frustrated at political space because he never believed that the system can be this corrupt and it will be accepted the way it is. It's sad, very, very sad,
Okay.
but it's what it is. Supreme Court have pronounced their judgment. We have to live by it and move with it. But with the precedent that have been set, it shows that when you want to go into Nigeria election, forget about the people's vote. Just prepare your money and you will find your way.
A very sad reflection of the state of things in the country, Mr. Enantomehn. Now, a lot of observers have said, you know, the Nigerian judiciary is almost becoming the electoral commission, that the duty of INEC, its constitutional duty and responsibility is to conduct and announce the winners of elections. And we've seen a flurry of litigations year on year, and it seems to be getting more after every electoral cycle. In your opinion, what needs to be done to restore confidence in our elections so people don't have to, you know, go to the courts and inundate them with electoral cases? Where do you think the fault lines are?
Yeah, I think where the fault lies is our institutions are working. If you look at during Jonathan's during Jonathan's time, what Jonathan was trying to do, President Jonathan did everything possible to ensure that our institutions are strengthened, because if the institutions are weakened, of course, it's going to affect every other thing we're doing in this country. That's the more reason why we do everything possible, even within the PDP, that we believe in institutional democracy. But right now, if you are contesting for election in Nigeria, if you don't have money to buy INEC, you should keep money aside for the judiciary. So what the electoral does, what the electoral empire does now is you do everything possible to ensure that you buy the election from the head.
Do you have, I mean, these are very, very serious allegations against the electoral umpire, an institution like INEC. Do you have any evidence? Do you have any evidence to prove your allegations?
The INEC institution is very weak. It's very obvious. It's very obvious that the INEC institution is very weak. As it stands right now, if you are credible, you cannot win election in Nigeria with credibility. So it's not an allegation. If you are credible in Nigeria, you cannot win election. During the Edo State election, we wrote a series of petitions to INEC as regard even changing the INEC electoral commissioner in Edo State. We've written a series of petitions again to the INEC as a result most of the corrupt personnel that the INEC have. But nothing is being done about it. It's not even about Edo matter, it's about the situation, it's about all the state. This precedent keep reoccurring. INEC is doing nothing about it. The people are losing faith in the INEC, in the institution called INEC. They are not even independent because INEC is practically answerable to the government in power. That is exactly what is happening. Let's not paint it. If the INEC allow right things to be done, I'm assuring you Nigeria will be better than where it is today. Because it's right now it's going to be is the highest bidder that eventually emerge in every electoral cycle. We're not being fair to the system, we're not being fair to the people. We practically force people to come outside to come and vote. And even when they come to vote, their vote is not being counted. I remember Obaseki election, when we did Obaseki election, it took the grace of God because they were not able to win that election because it was like a protest vote against Oshomole then. But this time around was not a protest vote because we felt we brought out the most credible, the best candidate in the country that this country ever have. You know, to our own cycle, we that are the inner cycle of our principle, we just felt that this election even came to ridicule the personality of Asue, because Asue is not even a governorship product. Asue is a presidential material. But unfortunately, we felt, okay, we can't have this caliber of person in Edo State, and you expect us to not maximize the opportunity of bringing him to liberate the state. Now, bringing him to liberate the state, look at what INEC did. Seriously, look at this. I think most of your guys were in the state. It's quite unfortunate that even when we complain series of overvoting, some places where you see a number of registered voters 1,000, you now see people that voted 10,000. You know, most of those things were not counted. Look at the red, what happened in the red. The result that was counted at the polling unit, even at the LGA, got into the state collation center was practically changed. Most of the results that were announced at the polling unit and at the ward level, it was not what was announced at the edge, at the state collation center. So there are so many things that are wrong. The INEC should be blamed in all these things because the INEC is doing strengthening where the vote of the people count, where you can trust that if you campaign with an ideology that your vote your ideology will be respected, your vote, the vote of people will count, people will believe in the system. But it's not right now. Nobody is ready to believe in the institution called INEC. I can assure you that the INEC need to be worked on. Year in, year out, billions of naira is being voted on the institution called INEC just to reform them. But nothing reform is coming out from it. It is we that are in this political cycle that are suffering it. It's sad. I won't lie to you. We are not happy. We are heartbroken.
Mr. Enantomehn.
Really heartbroken. This is not encouraging. This is not the kind of country we envisage. This is not the kind of institution we dream to have. I don't know the kind of country I want to live for my children. I am really, really sad. I won't lie to you. Year in, year out, we are suffering this same cycle. Look at what happened in the 2015 presidential election. The same thing. I've traveled around the whole 36 states. I know what we pass through every day by day, trying to reform this country, trying to liberate this country from the shackles of all these things you're seeing that were happening to us today. If we get the electoral system right, I can assure you the economy will be stable. Because the right people will be in the corridor of power.
Mr. Enantomehn,
but it's so sad.
Mr. Enantomehn, thanks for your summation. I mean, you've spoken about how flawed INEC currently seems or looks like, and how it's impacted negatively, especially on your political party not coming out victorious through the judiciary. But during the election, I do recall, because I was also live on air, where different people in the state, they alleged, and not just alleging, but it was proven, where they said monies were being shared by political parties to ensure that they could gather votes. Would you say it is a sole responsibility of INEC to take the entire blame? Or would you also say that your political party and other political parties also have a role to play in the turnout of election results? Because sometimes, just like it happened in Benin, monies were being given, they were doled out to people, telling them that they should vote for their political parties. So are you just going to heap the blame on INEC alone? What about the political parties as well?
I won't blame them. You're actually correct. I think the political parties to have their own blame, have their own side of the story. But you have to understand the way the Nigerian system is. If Party A said, I'm not going to give 1 naira, Party B said, I'm going to give 1 naira. If Party C says he will give 1 naira, you see, because poverty has been weaponized in this country, the people will just see, this is an opportunity for me to collect the little share I need to collect too. Where I say blame the people, because look, if they understand that if I vote the best people at the corridor of power, they will liberate me, liberate this country, liberate my people. You will not collect money, you will not collect bribe to vote. But you won't blame them. I remember in my ward, where I voted, what I told practically the APC were sharing brand new notes, money, good money. I told me, he said, Oga, if someone that they do so, if we go back to Abuja now, we not get 1 naira again. May I collect my own vote APC because now they should be my share. I felt so sad. Practically told me that she has not seen 10,000 in the last 1 month. Now APC is giving her 10,000 naira to vote just to print. She will collect the money and go and make pot of soup and go home. It's not her fault, it's a level of orientation, because she'll be made to understand that, look, this is just your share of the money. But until we have a government in power that will reorientate the people and make them understand that, look, you don't need to share your right, because if you share your right, you will not have the confidence to hold your people you've elected into account. You understand? So it's so painful, it's so sad that you are being robbed and you are being mocked on, even while your mandate is being stolen. I have quite a number of opportunity to have worked with this APC government. They have got series of offers, even from the state governor. But I said, look, this is about the will of my conscience might not be able to stand it as it stands right now, because I knew the effort I put in that last election. I suffered, put my life on the line, and I knew we won that election. Clear. It was an issue-based election. So, we reduced money politics deliberately. But if you were in the state, thank God you saw what happened. APC practically did not campaign in that state. This is not because, of course, it's already passed and we've accepted our fate. But if we want to face reality, let's review what happened. They did not campaign. You are aware of that. They were practically. So where did they not get their confidence from? Because I travel around the 192 ward on 3 different occasions. You know what that means? 3 different occasions. We have 192 ward. We canvass it late and bread. On several times we slept in the bush, slept in the car, times and time with that number. And APC, with most of our friends in the other political party, were laughing at us that you guys are just wasting time. You know, we want to now collect money into our house. We don't win this election. And they're not campaigning. They practically did not have billboard.
Okay.
Some of the local government, you wouldn't even see their posters. So how will that happen? Where did the magic now come from? So it's a mystery that is still yet to be unfolded. You know?
Right.
So people that collect money to vote, most of them are already crying right now. Look at the Edo State right now is practically the headquarters of insecurity in Nigeria because of the rate of criminality, cultism, armed robbery, and a whole lot of others. You know, and these were the things that Obaseki fought. But look at what we're passing through within the short period of time that another government took over. The insecurity is top-notch in Edo State. Most of us that are even key players in the state right now, we can't even travel to the state conveniently, freely, without having an alternative means of security to protect us. You know, that's how sad it is. So, and people that collected money to vote, you see one funny thing about this thing, why don't, just like what we said, why we don't blame my neck alone, people that sold their vote for just for pot of money, we are all suffering it together. Because the rain that falls will not only fall on the good, it fall on the good and the bad. Lucky Dube once said something that when the man on the street wants to knock the door, he will not only knock the door of the good, he will knock the door of the good and the door of the bad. That is the implication of what these things. When insecurity wants to happen, it doesn't only happen to those that are good alone. It happens to the good and to the bad. When armed robber comes to a place to rob, they will not only select some certain house, they will enter every house and rob. When courtesan is ravaging in the streets, straight bullet doesn't know who voted for APC or who voted for PDP. So we must understand this thing and begin to think deep. That's the more reason why it saddens most of our heart that have understood what morals, what values, what ethics is. We just that we don't have the privilege to really be in the corridor of power deeply, so that we can teach people what good governance is all about. But just like what they say, good people most times don't have the privilege the way bad people have it. So it's painful that we're seeing it the way it is. But the sad reality is, God has blessed most of us. We always find our way.
All right.
And that is just the truth.
Okay.
Pity for people who were left behind at the village. How will they survive? How will they bear the next?
All right, Mr. Andrew Enantomehn, thank you so much. We want to thank you for sharing the outcome, especially of what happened yesterday. We do hope, like the current ruling party has said, Governor Okpebholo has expanded, or I'd say, has stretched out the olive branch, calling on the PDP to feel free to join it so they can build the state. Or better still, some members in his cabinet have said that you rather wait till the next election, which is not too far off. But thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate how you also explained some of the feelings of your party members. Thanks.